Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans.
Oh yeah! Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Oh yeah! Shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Hey guys, this is Truth Lies Shenanigans, the live show for Wednesday, December 9th, 2020. I go by the name Neo Nix, and I'm your moderator for today's show. Let me introduce you to my awesome co host, our professor, writer, editor, journalist, streaming live from the heart of it all, Washington, D.C., Lizzie Ender.
What's up, everyone? Happy hump day. I am limping into the finals of final week. Limping.
And trying to breathe, I see.
Trying to breathe.
So, what are we drinking tonight, Lizzie?
Tonight we have a wild cherry cocktail. So it's Stoli wild cherry vodka with a little bit of Chambord and some bourbon soaked cherries. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
I'd say it sounds good, but since I don't drink, I don't know if it sounds good or not.
Mm.
All right, and our rock star with the band Fallen Machine coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Robbie Rock. Uh-oh.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Robbie.
I was just gonna say, Lizzie's drink sounds delicious. I'm just saying, I don't drink a lot anymore, but that sounds really good. Yeah, happy hump day, everyone. It's so good to be here. And like Lizzie, I'm just limping towards the end of this year, so much so that I treated myself to a week of vacation next week.
Oh, well, good. I got some work for you then. Real quick, so tell everyone where they can hear some of your music, Robbie.
Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. We've definitely put the music out there. We've only got 2 singles out at the moment, and COVID restrictions have made it really challenging to get together to write some new stuff. But we're looking forward. Now there's some vaccines out on the market, and hopefully we can get together soon and start making some kick-ass music again.
Oh yeah, I want to hear some more. All right, for today's show, with the surge in COVID cases and records in single-day deaths, just as the first vaccines are being distributed, we are continuing our series, The COVID Chronicles, where tonight we'll hear from Nurse Yolanda Yvonne, who will tell us what she's seeing on the front line. Also in Hot Topics, Robbie tells us Donald Trump's plans to upstage the Biden inauguration, and Lizzie is asking, is Blue Lives Matter even still a thing at this point? All right.
A lot of hostility out there towards law enforcement.
Remember, streams live just about everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitter. And we're also on Instagram and TikTok live at TLS Live Show on all our social media platforms. Make sure that you hit that follow button, share this feed, invite your friends. Most importantly, we want you to join in the conversation with us. We want your comments live, your questions, all to be part of the show. And also, so you never miss an episode, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts: iTunes, Google, Alexa, Pandora, iHeart. We're available just about everywhere. All right, my co-hosts, it is time for the quick fire. All right.
Give it to me.
Goya CEO named Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez Employee of the Month because he says her call for boycotts of Goya after the Latin Foods CEO praised Latin racist Donald Trump caused sales to shoot up by 1,000%. So, my question to you guys, what should AOC do with that award if she ever gets it? Robbie?
Well, I'm just gonna say that Goya saying that their sales went up 1,000% after they got dissed on Twitter. It's Murray time. I'm 1,000% sure that Robert Unanue sales figures are wrong. She should just cram that.
Lizzie?
That's a award.
AOC, you remember the group Crisscross? I would say to him, you could get the finger, the middle.
The middle.
There you go.
My thoughts are, since Donald and Ivanka's illegal endorsements were the real reason Goya did well, she should slip it in their suitcases and they're getting kicked out of the White House because gone. Don't have to worry about them anymore. But yeah, this story was crazy, right?
Well, also, I agree with Rob B. Like, I do not believe that their sales skyrocketed the way
I don't believe it either, actually.
In my local grocery store across the street, the shelves are full of Goya. Where before this happened, you couldn't, they were always empty. People were always buying Goya products. Now you can go in there and probably buy them for half off. That's how desperate.
Oh, he's using Trump's model with alternative facts, right?
Alternative.
Yeah, fake news, fake news.
All right, guys. We just started streaming on TikTok and Instagram Live, so I know a lot of our viewers don't know a lot about Truth Lies Shenanigans, so let me tell you what it's all about. We'll be sharing our truths and opinions with you, calling out those lies and pointing out those ridiculous shenanigans going on. But most importantly, on this show, we try to have some fun with some shenanigans of our own. But we do have one rule only. There is no cussing for our hosts, which one of our hosts tends to break often. We won't call any names. Lizzie Enders.
Hey, what are we gonna do about that? What are you gonna do with you? Always cursing, cussing, Rob B. Come on. Come
Yeah,
on.
Robbie, stop that cussing.
I'm French. It's cultural.
All right, so we got a packed show today, and we have another in our series of COVID Chronicles. There's plenty of lies and misinformation of coronavirus, so Truth Lies Shenanigans brings you the truth. Stories directly from the people that lived it, frontline workers and survivors. This is the COVID Chronicles. There she is, Yolanda Yvonne. Welcome. So,
Yvonne, hello,
Welcome,
welcome.
Yolanda.
Hi,
so
thanks for having me.
joining our show,
Thanks for
we have Yolanda Yvonne, a nurse who works at the Washington Hospital Center in DC. She's a registered nurse on the pre-post cardiac procedure unit. She also works at the stroke tele at Charles Regional in La Plata. She's been a nurse for 4 years. Thank you again for joining our show, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Welcome.
having me.
All right, so what I'd like to do is just tell us a little bit more about yourself, what your duties are, what you're doing right now.
So, I'm a cardiac nurse currently. My current unit, we deal with pre post procedures for cardiac issues. So, people are getting ablations for dysrhythmias. They're getting pacemakers. Um, they're getting cardiac caths and getting stents put in. So my unit is strictly elective
Okay.
with some emergency cases.
Okay.
But when COVID hit, because those elective procedures totally went away, they turned my unit COVID.
Okay.
So we were one
So
of the
you're dealing
first
a lot with
units
COVID now.
to. Well, currently we're back cardiac, but with the surge in numbers, the units are starting to slowly go back to COVID. I see some COVID cases now, but my unit is not completely COVID, but we do have COVID cases.
Okay. Now, of course, COVID is surging, particularly in DC and Maryland and nationwide. What are you guys seeing? I mean, are the hospitals filling up out there?
Oh, it's crazy. It's filling. It just filled right back up just like that. Like in a couple of days, it was everybody. Nobody had COVID, and then all of a sudden the unit is half full with COVID to the point with the next day. It just happened really quick. And then the day after that, it's like, okay, units are full. So we're expecting my unit, when I go back this week, my unit is probably going to be COVID again because it just happened so quick.
So let me ask you this. One of the important things we want to know is how are you and your family handling, the COVID, the virus and the pandemic? How are you handling? Are you okay? Is your family okay?
Yeah, we're good. It's hard. It's difficult because you're scared of bringing it home to your family. Even though my COVID cases aren't as high as they were when I was dealing with it strictly. Um, you're still walking through the hospital. You don't know who may have it. Um, People can be, asymptomatic, but everybody's wearing masks, so that's a good thing. I come in, I disinfect myself. I take my scrubs off. I try to stay away from my kids as much as possible, but they're young, so it's hard. So luckily, Nobody has gotten it in my house, but it's scary.
Okay. Okay. Um, Robbie, do you have any questions?
Yeah. So, Yolanda, hats off. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing for the community. I think that healthcare workers during this last year are to be absolutely commended and cherished. Um, my question is more, I guess, an external thing. When you are out in the general public, what are the types of things that you are seeing that, I guess, the contributing factors that you're really seeing to the COVID epidemic?
The biggest contributing factor is people not wearing their mask. That's that's the biggest thing. People aren't taking it seriously. And sometimes they're not even if they're wearing a mask, they're not wearing it correctly. So if I see that if they have on a surgical mask and they have it on backwards, I will say to them, hey, that's on backwards. The filter, they'll be wearing the filter on the outside instead of on the inside. So that's it's very important that if you're wearing it, you're wearing it correctly. People not, staying 6 feet apart. I've been in stores where people are like right up on me, and I'm turning around like, hey, 6 feet, you need to back up. Um, those are probably the two biggest things. And then there's no limitations anymore with how many people are in the stores. So
Mhm.
it's like, it's crowded. Everybody's up on each other. So I try to go like at the store when it first opens or when it's about to close, when it's the least amount of people um, in the store. The masks do work and social distancing works. So if everybody does that, then we'd be able to get it more under control. But a lot of people are non-believers. They don't think that they can get it,
Mhm.
or they feel like, oh, I'm healthy, so if I do catch it, I'll survive. But that's definitely not true.
Yeah.
So,
Lizzie,
I
do
mean, they
you
could,
attribute?
but
oh, go ahead.
just because you're young and healthy does not mean that you won't catch it and pass away. I've seen it.
Well,
Yeah.
Robbie,
So,
go ahead.
do you attribute this cavalier attitude toward the mask and the distancing directly to the president, directly to the White House, and the messaging that's been coming out from that office?
Good question.
I think that a lot of people who aren't wearing the mask um, are his supporters. I hate to say, but I just recently, I've really needed a break. So I went to Florida. I went on the Gulf where I did my research before I went, and on the Gulf Coast, the cases were like few to none. So we decided to take, quick vacation there with precautions, of course, mask wearing, social distancing. And this is in Florida, and nobody's wearing masks. They're not. I was appalled.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I was like, what? Yeah. So, I mean, sadly, I think a lot of it is from him. And, um, I mean, I see some black people too who don't believe it because they feel like, the government is making this whole thing up and
Hmm.
they're trying to, you know, make us
Yeah.
think. And it's just a lot of falsehoods floating around.
Lizzie?
And unless, people, they don't see it with their own eyes, they're not believers. I wish I could record, what I see, make people believers.
Lizzie?
Well, that's a good segue into my question because I was wondering, going back to when your unit was completely COVID with COVID patients, or even now as it's unfortunately like inching back to that, what are you seeing with patients? Like, what are the symptoms when they come in or when they are in your unit?
Um, so I'll talk about my stroke and tele unit that's in La Plata because I just recently dealt more with COVID patients there. These people are struggling to breathe. They're scared um, because even taking a sip of water drains their drive to breathe. So their oxygen will drop really quick just to try to take a sip of water. Um, a lot of people. some people don't have the fever. I just had a patient who didn't have a fever, but he had the coughing and the shortness of breath and just exhaustion. Just
Mhm.
Oh, the
you
symptoms
just literally
are
can't even get up
inconsistent.
to go use the bathroom
Wow.
because you're so tired.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long, I mean, normally for the patients in the COVID unit, how long are they usually there, give or take?
Um, it depends on their symptoms. So some people can be there as long as 7 days. Um, some people, if they're asymptomatic and they're really not short of breath, they may keep them for observation for like 24 hours and then they send them home to sweat the rest of it out. As long as they're not short of breath, um, then we send them home. But if they're short of breath and their oxygen saturations are really low, we keep them as long as, we need to. I had, when this first started, I had a patient that was on my unit for 3 weeks because no matter, I mean, his oxygen just never came up. He ended up having to go home on home oxygen.
Wow.
So it can have long term effects too. Some people, it damages the lungs so bad that, they're going home on home oxygen and who knows if they'll ever get off. It could be permanent.
And these are the things I think that a lot of people aren't taking into consideration, because the first thing you hear for the people who are resistant to the idea of COVID or who think that it's not that big of a deal, one of the first things that comes out of their mouths is, well, did they die? If they didn't die, then it's not a
Right.
big. And I'm just like, there have been plenty of people. We had a guest, Marcus Eason, one of our COVID Chronicle guests. We had him on over the summer. And no, he's still with us. So he did not die. However, he lost some fingers. He was on a ventilator for like 14 days. He had a stroke. And he's still, even though he has come out of it and he's getting back to normal, he still has some lingering effects. And so I want to
Oh,
say to
yeah.
those people, given the things that you were saying, that he's saying, or whatever, if you can just put on a mask and avoid all of that, why not? Like, death is not the
Exactly.
worst thing that could happen to you. You could be living on this earth in pain. Like you said, not being able to breathe, being on a ventilator, having strokes, losing limbs. I mean, it just runs the gamut. And so even though we're now in December, so we're 9 months into this thing. And to hear you talk about people who still don't get it, you see people who aren't socially distancing. We see people on the internet in pictures, walking down the street. I have people in my building who the concierge, they have to yell at them all the time because they don't have masks on. It's mind boggling because it's not asking
It is.
much. It's not
It's, it,
asking
it,
much.
it really isn't. Just put on the mask and then you have to, if you're not just protecting yourself. You're think about the somebody else that you could be protecting because you don't know you could have it. You could just be asymptomatic. You just put on a mask. I was in Walmart today and the guy just darted into Walmart and the people at the front was like, hey, you need a mask? And he was like, oh, you have to wear a mask in here? I'm like, how long have we been doing this?
Come
Yeah.
on.
I didn't know that you
Especially in
had to
the
wear
Washington
a
D.C.
mask.
area.
Yeah.
I mean,
It,
everybody knows it
I
here.
couldn't I couldn't believe it. But like you said, I wanted to piggyback on the whole long term effect thing.
Mhm.
You I have I know a lot of my colleagues that have gotten it and I have friends that have gotten it and I have family members that have passed away from it.
Oh no.
But the ones who haven't, I have a colleague who still gets short of breath and this was 2 or 3 months ago. She still hasn't been able to go back to work. I have another colleague who, another long term effect is like foggy brain, just really forgetting how to do the little simple things. And she was telling me the other day, she's gone back to work, but she was in a patient's room and she just was like a deer in headlights. And the patient asked her, was she okay? And she said, yeah. And she stepped out and she just said she felt so embarrassed because she's at work, she's doing her job, she's working with patients, and right in the middle of dealing with the patient, she got foggy brain.
Wow.
And who knows how long that will last. It could be permanent. So yeah,
Wow.
more than just death. Do you want to really live the rest of your life on Earth like that? Or having to carry an oxygen tank for the rest of your life?
So,
Possibly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
so we've learned that the vaccine is coming out. We just got the first vaccine doses recently. Are you finding that people are excited about the vaccine or skeptical? And on top of that, would you be willing to take the vaccine, or are you being mandated by your hospitals to take the vaccine?
Um, so I find that people are very skeptical. People think that, it's too fast, it's too soon. Um, in my hospital, I'm pretty sure we're mandated to take the flu. So I'm pretty sure that they're going to mandate us to take the vaccine. But even if they didn't, I'm going to take it
Okay.
for sure.
How do you? So you're good with the mandate of having to take that
I'm
vaccine?
fine with it because I was going to take it anyway,
Okay.
mandate or not.
And
I
you
was going
mentioned
to
you had
take
some
it.
family
I,
members that passed away.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a cousin that passed away this summer, and then 1 month after my cousin passed, my uncle passed away. He didn't pass away from COVID positive. He passed away from the uh the long term effect of what COVID can do. He got an encephalopathy on the brain, and then it just caused like 20 and 30 other issues that happened to him, and he ended up passing away.
That's
So
so awful.
I
I'm
can imagine the
sorry for your
vaccine being
loss.
very important to you.
Yolanda, have you
Yeah.
had patients ask you about the vaccine?
Have I had patients ask me about the vaccine?
Whether or not
No,
they
I
should
haven't
take
had
it?
anyone. No, I haven't had anyone ask me personally about the vaccine. I've had family members and
Mm.
coworkers. We've discussed it amongst ourselves, but no patients with that. Yeah.
And I've said it 1,000 times on this show, in comments to friends, whatever. Again, I am type 1 diabetic, immune compromised. If I'm first on the list for the vaccine, sign me up. I will be there. I will finally leave my house to go take it. One, because I think, again, I really can't afford, given my diabetes, I really can't afford to get this disease or to get this virus, because I think it will affect me differently than the average person. But also, too, I think as Black people, we need this representation. We need to see how it's affecting us and people in our communities. I mean, if I had been asked to take one of the trials, I would have done it. I probably wasn't asked because I never leave my house for anything. But if I had been asked, I would have done it because I think it's important to have that representation. So it's a conversation that I think a lot of people in our community are having. Hopefully, we are having this conversation and making opinions based on proper research. Like, I respect people that feel like they don't want to take it or they want to wait, if you will. I totally understand
Yeah.
that. I just want
Hmm.
people to get the proper research and not buy into the conspiracy theories or the rumors. That's my concern.
Yeah. And that's what most people are doing. The conspiracy theories. They're listening, to that. And like I said, the biggest thing is that they feel like, oh, it's too fast for a vaccine. But I'm my stand is that it's 2020. Um,
Exactly.
I'm just not thinking
Exactly.
that it's taken that long, like it did back in the 1900s, to come up with a vaccine. Medicine has advanced so much. I literally watched doctors feed catheters through someone's femoral artery, which is the thigh, come up around the heart to put a stent in to remove a blockage. That's how much medicine has advanced. They didn't be able to do that in the 1900s
Right.
to prevent
Yolanda, I
someone
had this
from having a
conversation with
heart
someone
attack.
this week. I had this conversation with someone this week. She was like, "Well, how come it took them longer to get a vaccine for the Spanish flu?" I'm like, "You mean the Spanish flu that first started
1918?
in 1918?"
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, we're talking a century ago.
Yes. Things progress, things advance. I told a friend of mine the other day, I said, you see how fast things have started to come on DVD now? It used to take a year or so. Now it's like a couple of weeks. So,
Yep.
things progress as the years go on. We're not back in the 1900s. So, and these scientists, I did my research, they've worked literally day and night, day and night,
Mhm, mhm.
day and night.
A
I
lot of
don't know if they,
research has.
in 1912 were they doing that, but they literally have barely slept to try to come up with something because they knew how critical this was. People are dying
Mhm.
every day.
All right.
And
And Yolanda, just
it's
Sure,
been a
Robbie.
collaborative effort worldwide, and so that has helped with the research as well. Rob?
mhm.
Right,
I was just going to say that so much other medical research has been put on hold in lieu of COVID research. So
Mm,
we're losing out in some areas because of the focus internationally on COVID, but we need that concerted effort internationally. We need to collaborate and share that knowledge and those resources if we're going to come up with an efficient vaccine that needs to be implemented to 7 billion people on the planet. Like this
right,
is a huge endeavor, huge.
Yeah. All right. So we've
absolutely.
got about just a couple more minutes, but I want to get some questions in that we have online.
Some
Um,
great questions.
yeah. So what do you think? What do you say to people that say it's my family, we are fine? I think she's asking like when people saying are getting in groups, gathering in groups.
mm.
I'm
Like
sorry, repeat the question again.
she's like, what do you say to people that say it's my family, we are fine when they gather for like Thanksgiving and things like that?
Do you know where if it's inside within your own household and you know exactly where your family members have gone, where they've been, who they've been around, that's, one thing. But if you don't know where that family member has been and then who that person has been around, it's still a high chance of you getting it. I mean, today I have a friend of mine who was with her immediate family for Thanksgiving, and the brother has tested positive for COVID because he came from wherever he came from, and he brought it into the house, and then now the other brother has it, and so now the parents are getting tested, and his daughter has to get tested
Entire
because
families.
just
Wow.
from the one person. But that's her brother. That's
Yep.
her brother,
Wow.
and they trusted him. You can't trust anybody unless you know exactly where they've been, who they've been around. Seriously, like every step that they have taken.
All right. Marjorie Simpson, who actually was a previous COVID Chronicles guest, says it must feel so frustrating to fight so hard for your patients while so many Americans still doubt that COVID virus is serious or even exists.
It's frustrating. I've gotten into battles online with
I
I
bet.
can
people,
imagine.
non-believers. It's super frustrating. And some people, will come on in my defense and say, how can you tell this nurse what she's seeing with her own two eyes? Like
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing it with my own two eyes. I'm taking care of this person. I'm seeing them struggle to breathe. I'm seeing them on dual oxygen therapy.
Uh-oh, I think we lost
We
our
lose.
audio.
With their oxygen dropping,
No, it's
not
not.
even being able to sit up to use a urinal to go to the bathroom
Mhm.
because they're just so fatigued. So yeah, it's super frustrating. I feel like they're non-believers until it happens to somebody that they know or somebody that they
Mm-hmm.
deeply care about.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what they're waiting
Then
for.
maybe they may be a believer, but people are still saying, "Oh, but it's only 0.001 whatever percent death." It's still a small number. But the fact is that these people would still be alive if this virus wasn't here. It didn't have to be that 0.01 death from
But
COVID.
this is a great question that came through. How do you feel about fellow coworkers that do not follow guidelines when they are on their private time? This is coming from Rupka. Um, I know there are some uh, healthcare workers. I think recently there was one who was on TikTok
In Oregon.
making light of
In
it, and
Oregon.
then in Oregon, and she got
Yeah,
fired for it. So how do you feel about that?
I think it's hypocritical that you are at work, you're wearing your mask, you're doing, what you're supposed to do. We're having to educate patients on what to do to be safe. And then you go out into the community and you're not doing what you're supposed to do to be safe.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're coming in to help battle something, but you're not out in the community trying to help prevent it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's frustrating too. Luckily, I don't work with anybody who's like that.
Right.
All of us are very diligent.
Yeah.
Because I would call them out for
I
sure.
bet you would. I bet you would.
I would call
There
them
are
out.
some. There's some quick comments. Mike Winter points out that CNN just reported a new death toll today of 2,939 people. Almost 3,000 people died in one day today. Um, Jacqueline Robbins says the ignorance is astounding. Alexa Birdsong, whole new world. Kevin Thaxton, pro.
Alexa.
He's pro. Wait for the results. So
Kevin Baxton has
he
some good
said,
ones too. He's ready to take. He's ready to take it after the first batch doesn't turn us all into zombies. So he doesn't want an I Am Legend scenario.
right.
It's
And if people want to,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Yolanda.
and I was gonna say, if people are skeptical and they want to, wait until the first batch has gone out, then that's perfectly fine. I tell the friends of mine who are skeptical, healthcare workers are probably going to be the first in line. So once I take it, and you see that I'm still fine, then I hope that will, give you some courage to go ahead and take the vaccine because I don't foresee COVID going anywhere.
Yeah, we
We
had a
need,
pre
we need
Lizzie and I had a
that.
pre-discussion about this same topic, and she was, of course, she's going to be first in line as soon. I mean, which makes sense, of course.
Second. I'm not going to be first. I'll be like second or third.
Yeah, I'll be. I'm going for. That's what I feel. I feel second or third. I mean, for a couple of reasons. One, I'm like Kevin Thaxton, saying, I want to see if, as long as people don't turn into zombies, all of a sudden, I'm good.
Well, I'll be second or third, not by my choosing. I'll be second or third
Right.
because that's where I fall.
Right.
But you and Rob both mentioned zombies, and for The Walking Dead to be such a popular show here in America and abroad, I'm kind of shocked and surprised that people are taking this skeptical
That's a
approach
good
to
point.
a vaccine.
That's a good point.
Like, how do you think? What do you think turned these
The
people into
zombies.
zombies on The Walking
So
Dead?
the fact that the name of the company that Trump was affiliated with, Regeneron, has that whole implication in the company name. Yeah. The zombie nerds are going, don't take it. Careful.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, Yolanda. So, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience, with our panel here? Just anything that you'd like to say.
Just wear the mask. It works. The mask works. Um, Another thing I want to touch on is that I had someone ask me, well, why do you think we're not hearing about the flu or people haven't gotten the flu? Well, it's probably a couple of reasons. One is that people have been wearing masks, and two is
Mm,
that we've seen a surge in people who've gotten flu vaccines this year.
Hmm.
Like I'm usually
mm,
having to
good.
give at least on my shift at least two vaccines per shift at least. I haven't had to give a flu vaccine because everybody has already gotten it. So I think that's part of the reason too. So, and that plays into, part of conspiracy theories. People are like, oh, where the flu go? They were like, no, it's because people are wearing masks and people are getting the flu shot that you're not really hearing about those
I think we're
hot
losing your
numbers.
audio. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I think we're losing your audio, but thank you so much for joining us. Please, everyone, be careful. Um, you know, COVID is real. We have frontline workers telling us, and I know you had a friend who was supposed to join you, Yolanda Bryant. We look forward to having her back on the show when she can make it. So, uh, thank you again,
Yeah.
Yolanda.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. We loved
They,
Thank you
having you.
they
so
say,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
they
all of your
say,
hard work, Yolanda.
Wow.
Mm,
Powerful, right?
yeah,
but
yeah,
they still don't hear. They still don't listen.
That's the
Like
problem.
it's
I mean, that's the frustrating part. Nobody's really listening. I mean, again, like she said, it's just unless you're dealing with it directly. I mean, she said her cousin and another family member died from
yeah,
because actually I remember that she was supposed to be on the show a couple of months back, and she told me around that time that her cousin passed away, and she had to go deal with that. So that's
yeah.
tough. That's tough to deal with. I mean, sometimes unless you're in it, you don't believe it. So.
And like she was saying, people that, they don't believe it unless they see it with their own eyes. I've had people throw that, well, do you know anyone that's had COVID? Do you know anyone that's died? Like, well,
yeah.
yeah,
I
actually, I,
have.
I do,
Yeah,
but thanks for
I
asking.
have.
All right, guys.
Now what? Now what? Now that we've established that, so what do you got next? Like, come on, folks. We got to be better than this.
Let's get into our hot topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, guys. Again, we have a lot of new people, so this is the way hot topics work. One of our hosts will start us out. They'll tell us if their topic is a truth, lie, or shenanigans. Then they'll give us a little background on their topic. Then we'll talk about it until time is up, and we'll see our friend Genji, who will drop in, and he'll let us know that we need to stop. Once we
We need to
stop,
play that
we'll
song
go.
next time. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk
All right, all right. Then we might put that in there. All right.
about it.
Then we'll stop and we'll go to our live audience questions and comments online. So make sure you are commenting online. All right. So today we are going to start out with our friend Rob B. Rob
Oh,
B. Truth,
great.
lie, or shenanigans?
Oh, true shenanigan again. True shenanigan.
True shenanigans.
Absolutely. So, your POTUS,
My POTUS.
your POTUS. Yeah. I, your as in Americans. I'm referring to you as Americans right now. Yeah. So, Trump is planning on having a going away party, the likes of which to upstage Biden's inauguration celebration. So, really, this is just consistent with how he has behaved throughout his entire administration. And really, my question to my fellow host is pretty simple. Is this more textbook Trump narcissism? Are you surprised? And how well attended do you think it will be?
I'll start. I'll go ahead.
Neo's going, I can tell.
I'll be there. Yeah. Yeah. In spirit. You asked if I was surprised. There's no way I was surprised. I think he's trying to find every way to, he's a narcissist, so he limelight is important to him, and I think he sees the writing on the wall. It's over, so he's trying to, pull for scraps, whatever little bit of love I can. I mean, he held an actual rally in where was that? Ohio, I think it was. A couple of about a week ago, he held a rally to say that he won the election. Oh, it was in Georgia. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it was in Georgia. He held the
I
rally.
think Georgia, Pennsylvania, he's doing it in every state at this point.
I mean,
Doing it
who
all
holds a
over.
rally after you've lost the election? It's just, I mean, absolutely crazy. This dude. But you know what? We got 41 days, and I am just praying. I'm just counting down, and I honestly, I just want Biden to make it to December 14th when the Electoral College votes, and then it'll be solidified in stone, and I don't have to worry about hearing all this voter fraud crap from Trump anymore.
But you're still going to hear it. Like, just because, the
True.
electors vote on Monday doesn't mean he's still not going to be trying to go around and pitch this story of the election was stolen from me. It was a rigged election. It was voter fraud, especially since now he has like supporters in Congress. Like that Bama Jim Jordan wants to take this fight to the Capitol floor to the Congress floor and have them duke it out there versus acknowledging your guy lost. And I don't expect much from Jim Jordan at all. I mean, this is someone who is a part of our Congress who they call him Jim Jordan. His name is JIM, but they call him JYM because he is accused of supporting and not reporting episodes of sexual abuse when he was working at Ohio State back in the 90s. So I don't expect anything good from him at all. But I don't think that, once Monday comes and the electors make their vote, that this is going to be the end of this. Rob brought up a point, when he was describing this hot topic. He said, going away party for Trump. I mean, if they keep this up, it is going to be a going away party because these MFers are going to die. These people are going to die. Like, you don't see the large numbers of COVID cases with the left side, the people on the left, with Biden's cabinet, with the Democratic Party, as you've seen with the Republicans and the White House, and how they have just given all of this pushback to, again, basic wear a mask, socially distance properly. This week we found out that our boy Rudy has the COVID. And then, one of Trump's senior legal advisors, also, she has the COVID. And so people were mocking them and making fun of them on the internet. Well, she was sitting next to Rudy, before Congress the other day, before the Michigan State Congress the other day. Did he fart on her and give it to her? Like, these are things that, are coming
he did
up.
Fart on her.
They keep getting, I mean, listen, we're all in trouble if you can catch the COVID via fart. We are all in
we
trouble.
are.
Oh,
My household is done.
But I mean, their negligence, their hubris with this entire pandemic is going to come back and bite them in the ass. And like Rob B said, it's going to be a going away party. Aside from Herman Cain, because obviously no one really cares about Herman Cain. But within Trump's following, he's probably been the most famous death to date. Mm-hmm. If they keep it up, it's going to be someone bigger than Herman Cain. And so I just, I don't know what else to say to this. Yeah. And people mock us because we don't necessarily feel sorry. Why should I feel sorry for someone who didn't value their life more than I did? Yeah. Not going to feel sorry for you. All right, and you're putting others at risk.
Your thoughts, Robbie? Got about a minute.
Yeah. So really, I mean, I've been saying this since I joined the show, that Trump is just completely without tact and decorum, and he's demonstrating it all the way through to the end. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Any celebrities or elected officials that attend this competing event should really be held to account publicly. Yeah, it's just shameful. And really, I think it will be easy to upstage a celebration that will be employing social distancing rules and number restrictions. I saw a post come up from Jose coming up in the feed that apparently Biden's inauguration is going to be 70 to 80% virtual, which is the responsible thing to do. Celebrate, keep people safe. To be completely honest with you, what I would love to see is for the Biden administration to send law enforcement to Donald's party and just shut it down for violating state health regulations.
In DC, I know.
If you're not the president anymore, right? If you're not the president anymore, the special rules don't apply to you anymore. So just shut her down.
Get out.
I'm down for that. I'd love to see Muriel take some charge on that.
Well, Muriel already have a thing going.
Yeah, they do.
They hate each other.
He was untouchable before. Robbie has a good point. He's not untouchable anymore.
Yeah.
All right, Jose says such a gross troll. Verpka says, is Rudy even okay? Oh my God, I'd love to know. Actually, no, he was hospitalized. He was at
Georgetown Hospital, but we haven't heard anything over the past few days. Yeah. I mean, hopefully it's just, a bunch of flatulence, and just the hallway is kind of funky, but other than that, he's all right. Like, I'm not wishing death
Oh,
on
yeah, of course
anyone.
not. Better not.
But
That stuff comes back to you.
sometimes, yeah, it comes back to you, and sometimes you get what you get if you don't follow the rules.
Yeah, like I said, like I said last show, he definitely earned it. Didn't
Doesn't deserve it.
but definitely earned it.
Earned it.
All right, Kevin Thaxton said Jim Jordan enables sexual predators. Jim Jordan, yeah, he's a piece of work.
He's up there with Rand Paul now. Like, I'm wondering who Jim Jordan's neighbors are and when they're gonna beat him down, because it is coming.
All right,
It's coming.
Lizzie, is this a truth, lie, or shenanigans?
Lies, shenanigans.
I always get the dynamic duo. So this is both truth and shenanigans and tomfoolery and a whole bunch of nonsense. So the main question here centers around Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter, for those of you who don't know, was an affront to Black Lives Matter, in which people were coming out and saying that blue lives, i.e. law enforcement, their lives matter too. And so once Black Lives Matter got going back, I believe like in 2016 or whatever, you had all these people talking about all lives matter, blue lives matter, and they were standing up for law enforcement, standing up for police, saying that, you know, blue lives matter, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group that is coming out and trying to get people to be against law enforcement. So blue lives matter in this country had a huge following up until I would say like maybe 6 months ago during the pandemic, when law enforcement was starting to enforce laws and arrest people who were not paying attention to the laws that were mandated in their states as it related to COVID. So here we have on the borough of Staten Island in New York City, we have a story coming out of there about Max Pub owner Daniel Presti, if you will. So initially, Daniel had his pub, his bar shut down. I believe it was last Monday. And the bar at that time was shut down. They had their liquor license revoked because it was determined that they were not adhering to COVID restrictions. Apparently, where they are in Staten Island, it's now an orange zone, which means the numbers have skyrocketed, which means that you cannot have people inside of your restaurant, inside of your bar, congregating, eating, drinking, or what have you. It's not allowed. And so his bar was shut down because they were not adhering to those restrictions, and he doesn't have any outside space. So his bar was initially shut down last Monday. A couple of days later, they decided that they were going to defy the shutdown orders, and they were going to start sneaking people into the bar through the building next door. So they had all of the windows blacked out, but they were sneaking people into the bar through the windows next door. Inside, they were still serving people. Nobody had on masks. People were eating, they were drinking, what have you. So the police officers, the sheriff's department in this particular county on Staten Island, decided they were going to shut it down. So they let them have their little fun. And then after hours, when the bar owner, Mr. Presti, when he came out, Presti, forgive me, Mr. Presti, when he came out, they attempted to arrest him. And when they did, he ran to his car, got in his car, and subsequently ran over the sheriff's deputy.
Let's take it to the video.
And so here's the video of that. That's Mr. Presti running. Those are our law enforcement officers trying to arrest him because he did not comply. You know how they tell Black people all the time they should have complied. He didn't comply. Look, he purposely runs this guy over.
Yeah, the sheriff was in front of his car and he just runs him over.
Dragged him for several blocks.
Really?
The sheriff deputy dragged him for several blocks. Sheriff deputy went to the hospital. He has 2 fractured tibia, which means broken legs, if you will. And so wouldn't you know that the people of Staten Island, the supporters of Max Pub and Presti, they are rallying behind the bar owner who hit this law enforcement officer. Now, if this had been Black Lives Matter, they would have been blue lives, arrest him, he should have complied. But now, because it's someone that looks like them and whom they feel are violating their rights, they have turned against Blue Lives Matter. So my question
When you
to
say
this
they, who
panel,
are you saying? Who's they?
I'm saying the people on Long Island, I'm saying the conservative right,
The
I'm
conservative.
saying a certain group of white folks. Good question. So my question to the panel is Blue Lives Matter no longer a thing?
Robbie, I'll let you start.
It's this is just absolutely reckless behavior, and after reviewing the footage, I'm surprised that this man is still alive, because just at the rate that it played out, I'm shocked that the female officer didn't pump a couple of rounds through the passenger window to get to the driver.
He
That
not
was
only
just
is he still alive, he wasn't shot at. He
right.
was apprehended without, any scuffle or what have you, but he was also released without any bail.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Now,
and that's it for me. These vehicles are terrifying. This is the equivalent of just nudging the police officer with an RPG. A motor vehicle weighs thousands of pounds and has unbelievable destructive power. I mean, the officer in question is lucky that he just got away with 2 broken tibia. Because that was a high rate of velocity that he was taken off at. And like I said, like when he started pulling away just initially, had this been had the
a
color
black man,
dynamic been a little bit different, then I
black
suspect the
man,
story would
you
have
can
played
say
out
it,
very
black man.
differently. Yeah. If this was a person of color, absolutely, it would have played out very differently.
There's no question.
It's tragic to have to acknowledge that is the reality in America, and yeah,
I
it
mean,
just
there's a
like
history
this
of it
is
happening very differently. I mean, we don't
yeah,
know
like,
what would have happened, but there's a
Before
history
you,
of those same situations.
we can draw the conclusion to what would have
That's a good way to
likely
put it. We
happened.
can draw that conclusion. You're right.
But before you make your comment, Neo, I just want to say with that video, so Mr. Presti and his lawyer made a statement today saying that he didn't hit the officer, that he never hit the officer. Neo?
no, he didn't. The vehicle did.
Yeah, I really don't understand his reasoning for running over the cop. It certainly didn't look like he was being threatened by the cop. Obviously, he was simply being arrested, and he certainly wasn't treated like many black men in videos have been treated. So, but I gotta say, I want to go. I might be a little tangential on this, but after listening to the news conference, his attorney held, I think there's a root problem here. And that root problem is, small businesses are struggling, you know, and nobody's really trying to help. I mean, it's been estimated that over 800 small businesses a day closed down due to COVID. Matter of fact, actually, one of the small business owners we had on our show recently, on our small business spotlight, because of COVID, recently closed their door. So that was Heavenly
Oh
Garden.
no.
So I'm not saying he's right to continue to do his business while we're in a pandemic. No, he shouldn't. He should not be. He should be held accountable and should not be running over people. But it does highlight a problem, and the problem is that these businesses need help. My wife's fitness studio is like barely hanging on by a thread, just barely. And these senators and these they just won't get off their asses and get some relief to these people. So when you see someone like, the pub owner trying to stay alive, I mean, I understand it. I say it's wrong. You still make a choice for the betterment of society, but I do get it. I understand. It makes sense to me why these business owners are doing it. And all I'm saying is it's a powder keg. It's a powder keg. There's just a matter of time before, business owners just have no other options. I mean, you put your life into these businesses. My wife put a lot into her business, and if it closed down, it's going to crush her. It's the feelings are real. It's selfish, yes, agreed,
Mhm.
but the feelings are real. They're raw, they're real, and I get it. He's still wrong. I'm going to continue to say he's wrong for continuing to operate. Mel would have closed down her shop immediately because of the betterment of society and a pandemic that's passing around and her own fears. But it's still, I would like to see the root problem resolved a bit.
But that's where again, where this owner and this owner's followers, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, most of the people on Staten Island, they're being very short-sighted because they are blaming law enforcement for something that isn't their issue. They aren't the ones who created this. So Mr. Presti, again, the owner of this particular bar, is a Trump supporter. The same Trump who took money away from the PPP funds for small businesses and gave it to his friends, his buddies, who had multi-million-dollar businesses.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
He's also
Kanye.
a supporter of the Proud Boys.
Yep.
So again, they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say that we are the ones being suppressed, while at the same time siding with the oppressors. Instead of demanding better service, demanding better support from their government, from their God, Donald J. Trump, they want to go and run over this poor sheriff's deputy. And it makes absolutely no sense. And again, I am someone pre-pandemic. Yes, I am a college professor, but I also had, because I don't get paid nothing, I also had a second job in a restaurant. My restaurant closed, shut down in the middle of March and has yet to reopen. I have no idea if it's ever going to reopen. I have friends here in DC who are, like you said, your wife Mel, hanging on by a thread with their restaurants, with their bars, doing everything they can to keep their establishments open. But the problem isn't law enforcement. The problem isn't the CDC saying you need to shut down and you need to adhere to these rules. The problem is the president that you continue to support, who has not helped you in your time of need.
Yeah. Robbie,
Boom.
any last thoughts, Robbie?
No, I think that it's really been covered. And to me, it's just that reckless behavior, using a vehicle as a weapon. I'm surprised that he was running down the street. A black man would have not have made it to the
they would have
vehicle.
opened fire. I agree.
They would have opened fire. They would have tased him.
No, they would have opened fire in that car.
I was just going to say, Neil, there have been young black men in this country within the last year who've been sitting in their cars, and the police said that the car moved, inched towards
That's right.
them.
There was an actual case. I got her. Who was that? I don't remember the case. Yep.
That was the minivan incident. Just yeah.
All right, let's get to some of the comments online. We got Kevin Thaxton says, "What happened to law and order?" Mike Winter says, "Senators are holding up checks because they want that blanket immunity for the owners of Smithfield and Tyson's, so they don't get sued for making their assembly workers suffer through COVID." Jose says, "Meanwhile, Trump and peeps are spending money lavishly." Yeah, even like Robbie's point. I mean, they're going to spend money on this stupid celebration.
Mr. Party.
Jacqueline Rom says, "Pick a line, stick to it." Mike Wolf says, "Tom Brady's small business got a big government check." Yeah.
Yep. And Tom Brady is a friend of Trump, people. Tom Brady is a friend of Trump.
I'm telling you, Mel got pennies. Pennies on the dollar. Pennies. Staten Island, Mike Winter says, "Staten Island drinking matters more than blue lives." And Kevin Thaxton says, "New Yorkers are alcoholics."
And can I just say very quickly, there is this myth out there that Black people in this country do not support law enforcement, that we are anti-police, that we are anti any type of authority, which couldn't be farther from the truth. I am so much down with this sheriff's deputy. I think what happened to him is appalling.
I have a lot of friends that are
And I
police.
hope they throw the book at Mr. Presti. 100%.
Yeah. All right, that's it for Hot Topics, guys.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, let's jump into our game show.
Woo-woo.
All right, you're going to love this one. So, tomorrow is the start of Hanukkah. So, you know how much I love to throw religious trivia on both of you. So, Hanukkah trivia today.
Where's Reuben?
Right.
Man.
All right. We'll go around the horn. I'll ask the question, and if you get it right, you get a point. Person with the most points gets the final thought of the game. All right, everybody set? Let's go.
Yep.
We're going to start with Lizzie. The following two foods are traditionally linked to the Hanukkah miracle. Is it potatoes and apricot jam, dairy and oil, dairy and potatoes, or sour cream and applesauce?
I'm looking at RB to see if he's like figured out his hits.
If you wait long enough,
Dude,
somebody might comment online.
I'm glad you got that one, Liz.
You know he always gives me the hard ones.
Oh, they get harder. I'm gonna look on TikTok, see if anybody's talking. No. Nope.
Like I said, where is my Roo to help me out on this? I'm just gonna go with the Brady Bunch. Sour cream and
Let's
applesauce.
see. That answer is incorrect. It is dairy and oil.
What's the oil for?
All right,
miracle.
next one. All right, Rob B. The word Hanukkah means dedication, since it marks the date when the Maccabees rededicated the temple, or they rested 25, since Kislev 25 was the day when the Maccabees finally relaxed after routing the Greeks. Or is it both A and B?
I'm going to say both A and B.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. That's correct. Correct. All right, Robbie gets a point.
I'm on the board, baby.
All right, this is for me. Let's see. All right. So the question is, the most important Hanukkah observance is the play dreidel, to light the menorah, to eat traditional foods, or to give gifts to family members and friends. I'm thinking to light the menorah or to give gifts to family members and friends, but I don't know which one is more important. The most important is, I'm going with the menorah. I'm gonna go with the menorah. Ah, yes, that is correct. Yes. All right. I'll be in Neo in the lead. All right, Lizzie. The Hanukkah candles must burn until the last member of the household has fallen asleep, from the late afternoon until sunset, 18 minutes, or at least half hour after the night has fallen. When they light the menorah, you said B, from late afternoon until sunset. That is incorrect. The correct answer is at least half an hour after night has fallen.
You see, my Jewish friends have done me wrong, y'all. My Jewish friends have done me wrong.
All right. Looks like Kevin Thaxton's playing along. All right. Next one. All right, Rob B. Hanukkah lasts for, oh my God, I think I know this one. 8 days, 8 nights and 8 days, 7 nights and 8 days, 8 nights and 7 days, or 8 nights and 9 days.
The hard questions. I don't get the easy questions.
I know, right? I feel the same way about this one.
Come on, man. Like I don't have any close Jewish friends, and I'm only going back to Adam Sandler's Hanukkah songs. I think it's 8 crazy nights, but how many days it is? I'm gonna say 8 nights and 8 days.
8 nights and 8 days. Yes. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Oh, you got it right.
Snap.
I thought it was 7 days and 8 nights.
He was Jewish in a former life.
He was. All right. So you get that. All right. You get that point.
Everything's attached. We're good.
All right. Let's see if I can tie it up here. Let me see if I can tie it. All right. Hanukkah commemorates the miraculous victory of the Maccabee rebels over the mighty Syrian Greek army, the miracle of a small crust of oil burning for 8 consecutive days, or both A and B. I'm going to go take Robbie's route and say both A and B, but I think it's A,
Oh, he's
Um,
conflicted. You can see it.
I'm going with both A and B. Yes, yes, that is correct. All right, Robbie, it's between me and you. This is the last round. Last round.
All right, all right.
All right, the ninth candle on the menorah used to light the others is called the shamash,
Shamash.
which means helper, the gadol, which means large, or Nur Hammurabi, westernmost light, since it faces the west in the synagogue.
Oh.
Yeah, Kevin
I'm
Thaxton
gonna
is killing. He's
say
getting like all the answers right.
I'm gonna say Shamash,
He's looking him
the
up.
helper.
He's looking him up. Duh.
He's
He's
actually.
on
Could be.
Google.
You said the shamash. All right,
Yeah.
could be wrong. You are correct. See, you know this. So you
Send
got
that
them
love,
all
Neo.
right.
Neo, send that love. I hope you're wrong.
Didn't you win the Bible trivia the last time? Mm-hmm.
B Blade. Make sure you say it right. B Blade.
All right. All right. This is it. If one lights a public menorah, they need not light again at home. They should light again at home, but not say the blessings. They must light at home and say the blessing. I'm going to say they need not light again at home. Oh, that is incorrect. Incorrect. They must light at home and they must say the blessing. All right, all right. So Robbie wins. Robbie rock.
It's been a while. It feels good. It feels good to win again.
It's been a while.
Well,
Stay.
that's only because you're Jewish and you didn't want to tell anybody. That's all that was. You're Jewish and didn't want to say. That's what
Oh, we
happened.
got
It's my
Andrew
big
Sheree.
secret.
What is
Yeah.
going on here?
Oh, there we go. We got it fixed. All right. Ready for some shout outs? All right. Shout outs, Lizzie Ender.
Shout out to my Jewish friends. I guess we need to sit down and have a conversation. Y'all need to school me on some stuff. I am always open to learning about, different cultures and religions. So I need a lesson, y'all. I need a lesson. Let that be my present for you guys for the holidays.
All right, Robbie Rock.
My mom just dropped the most biblical thing. Ye rib, says mom. So I was just talking about my ribs. So shout out to mom for that.
Wrong button for Rob.
Oh yeah. Shout out to mom, shout out to Joe, shout out to Erica, and shout out to all of the healthcare workers that are just putting it all out there for us. Thank you so much. Yolanda was just amazing. So shout out to all those frontline healthcare workers.
Agree with that. Agree with that 100%. We had a bunch of people online tonight. We have Kevin Thaxton, Mike Winter, Paulette Bertrand, Jose Hott.
Alexa Birdsong was on earlier. Hey, Alexa. Hey,
Mike
thanks for
Wolf. Yeah, busy night tonight again. Busy night tonight. We had a bunch of people on. We had Vamsi Krishna. A lot of comments from Vamsi Krishna on
Thank
TikTok.
you,
So we had a bunch of people on TikTok. All right, now my personal shout out goes to Lizzo, actually. So she shared a short video on TikTok about her struggles with body image. So I just wanted to share it, real quick.
I came home and I took my clothes off to take a shower, and I just started having all of these really negative thoughts about myself, like, what's wrong with me? Maybe everything, all the mean things people say about me are true, and, why am I so disgusting, and hating my body. And normally I would have some positive thing to say to get me out of this, but I don't. And that's okay too. I think these are normal. They happen to everybody. They happen to the best of us. We are the best of us. And I just have to know that tomorrow, how I feel in here is gonna change. And I can only hope that it changes for the better. But I know I'm beautiful. I just don't feel it, but I know I'm gonna get through it.
I thought that was an amazing message. A lot of people are dealing with body image struggles. So shout out to Lizzo. All right.
That was very inspirational.
You want to keep your comments?
comments to myself about Miss Lizzo.
All right, Robbie Rock, you get the final
Take it
shot.
home, Rob.
Wait a minute, before we go, I just want to let everyone know you did win though. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. We hope maybe you learned something new, gained a new perspective, or even got something off your chest. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow at TLS Live Show, and tweet Lizzie on Twitter. If you missed any of today's episode, check out our clips online on YouTube, Facebook tomorrow. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the audio version of our podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Alexa. Just search Truth Lies Shenanigans. We had a fun time. Next show is Sunday, 4 p.m., 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll be doing all hot topics, and who knows, we might have a guest host in the house. And of course, as I was stating, Rob B, you are the winner, and you get our final thought. What's our final thought?
Take us home, Rob. Take
My
us home.
final thought is show your love to those healthcare workers. Show your love to Yolanda. Heed her advice. Wear the mask to protect everybody else. And when you are planning your celebrations, please try planning anything virtual or distance. But if you're getting together, make sure that you're practicing everything to keep yourself and your family, your loved ones safe.
Thank you, Rob B. Great message. We'll see you guys on Sunday.
Shenanigans.